Hello, this video is to demonstrate a 1957 Heathkit model A-7 amplifier. These amps were, as far as I'm aware, Heathkit amplifiers back in the day were issued as kits. I think basically what you did was you ordered it as a kit and put it together yourself if you were a hobbyist. This is one of those amps. You would have probably gotten a parts bag with the chassis and instructions on how to put everything together. It may have even been mostly assembled. Maybe some of the older guys out there can enlighten me on exactly the history of Heathkit, which I could research for myself, I'm sure, but I've been a bit lazy, admittedly. The cool thing about this amplifier is that, or one of the cool things is, it doesn't use a 6-volt filament tap on the power transformer. The filament tap is actually 12 volts, so all the tubes are 12-volt filament tubes. So, where normally you would see tubes like a 6V6, the first 6 in that tube designation is the describing the filament voltage for the heaters. On these, the filament voltage is 12 volts, so you have, in the output you have 12 V6 rather than 6 V6. All of the octal preamp tubes, of which there are 3, are also 12 volt tubes. So for instance, you have on this side, you have a 12 SL7, a 12 SN7, and a 12 SQ7 in the preamp. You do have a 5Y3 rectifier over on this side. So there is a 5 volt tap on the power transformer for the rectifier, but other than that, it's a 12 volt system for the filaments, which is somewhat unusual, at least today. Back in the day, it wouldn't have been so unusual because you saw mainly 6 and 12 volts because a lot of these radio amplifiers would have been used with car batteries, which were 12 volts. This amp has been modified from what it would have came as. And on the back, there are spots where the inputs used to be. Those have been moved to the front. At one time, this was mounted into its own amplifier chassis, and it had a combo speaker with it. But I've actually made this into a head. This material, this cage material, I actually put together out of some cage material you can get from Lowe's, which is used for gutter guards. If you go to Lowe's or any home improvement store, you can go to the gutter section and you can get this guard material. And what I've done here essentially is just bent it into shape and then cut the pieces, and then you can actually crimp everything together around the edge so that it doesn't come apart. But at least that gives the tubes some sort of protection so they just don't get banged on when they're moved around. Put a bottom on the thing and put some feet, but pretty simple. It's got a bass control with the AC on-off switch on the bass control. Now this is a pretty bassy amp. I could probably modify this and make it a little brighter, but it's pretty good actually with the bass all the way down. If you want it even more bassy, if you have a really bright guitar, obviously you can push the bass, but I kind of like it with the bass pretty much down. The volume control right now is set to midway. You also have a treble control, which I have just all the way up at the moment. There are 2 different inputs, and I've actually modified these to be attenuated. This one's actually the less bright of the 2, and this one will be a little brighter. But I'll go into the bright input, the high input, with the volume about halfway up here, and I'm using a Gibson SG. Also note, for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going through a 15-inch speaker, so actually the bass is even more pronounced. It's a 15-inch Eminence Legend. So yeah, it breaks up pretty well, even at about 7 or so. Back off and you can clean it up. Push it to full-on roar here. So yeah, there it is with an SG. Also have a Telecaster. We can check it out with here, which of course will be a little brighter, probably a little less gain as well. Won't be pushed quite as hard. This is an '88 Telecaster, American Standard. That's a 1957 Heathkit model A-7.